Hello and welcome to Earth is Waking Up. I'm your host, Jeremy Anderson, and today our guest is Dave Sandoval. And welcome, Dave.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yes. So Dave Sandoval is a best-selling author of the Green Foods Bible, wellness expert, whole foods nutrition advocate, environmentalist, disease prevention activist, and a true innovator. He's dedicated his life to providing whole, raw, green food products to the world and educating the masses about the importance of nutrition. Dave continues to research and share his findings at guest lectures in the Dave Sandoval Academy of Learning. Again, welcome to the show, Dave. I'm excited to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so now I guess I'll just start with how I found you was that you've got this amazing product that was the first on the market that I was aware of that helped, Biome Medic, which helps to remove glyphosate out of the gut, which comes from Roundup. This toxins that it's in a lot of our foods because it's used by a lot of the farmers. But before we get into that, that's just how I found you. I wonder if you'd be willing to talk a little about maybe some of your background story, just high level, since we can probably find that other places, but just a quick synopsis of where you started and how you got into health foods.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Thank you again for having me on this show. I think that where it started, was with tragedy, as so oftentimes is the case. If you were to read an Inc. magazine, if you're familiar with that magazine, I've been in that magazine a few times, and they wrote one article about me going from homelessness to running a multi-million-dollar corporation, and that's done $500 million in business. And so they always ask, well, how did you go from A to B, or from A to whatever it might be, and so I think the answer is really not so much about what I did mechanically. Did I borrow money? Did I not? What were my strategies? It was who I was. A business is a reflection of a person, and that person is trying to express, something about themselves through that business. And that's the type of business owner I am. Some people buy a business to make money. Some people start a business to make a difference. And so I started a business to make a difference. And so while profits may ultimately, happen, that's not the aim of my business. I thought that instead of protesting against all the things I believed were wrong in the world, I should simply use my skills to try to create a system so powerful that the systems I was upset at would no longer be attractive. And that's what I've set out to do. But again, it all starts with building a personal integrity and how you make decisions. And the way that you react to everything becomes who you are. And so if you ask me, how did I become a successful businessman, I might not share the stories with you that you imagine.
Mm-hmm. So your ways of being that drove you to that, is there anything you'd like to share around that? How you knew to be?
So there's something.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's something we hear all the time, and then we don't actually have examples of it. So I want to give you some examples. We hear all the time that it's not what happens to us that dictates who we are. It's how we react to what happens to us, right? So I'm going to tell you a quick story. I found myself homeless. I could get into the details as to why, but I was a young man. The household I was in was not conducive to, let's just say, happiness and growth. And so I thought that, at least being on my own gave me freedom from what might be an oppressive environment. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And so when you find yourself, living under trees and, eating out of trash cans behind, grocery stores, you sort of hit rock bottom. It doesn't really get tougher than that. Although I'm sure it does. There's many things that are tougher. I'm saying for me, that's as hard as it had gotten in my life up to that point.
Mhm.
And so seeing life from my own standpoint, things were pretty tough. Well, it got worse. There was a huge storm, like a record storm with massive waves. And the beach I slept on was literally ripped out from underneath, my body. I couldn't sleep there anymore. I had to find a new place to sleep. And it was wet. It was raining, huge raindrops the size of quarters. And that's tough when you're homeless. It gets cold. And so, but I saw it as an opportunity. So I borrowed a shovel, a rake, and some trash bags. And I went around and I knocked on some rich people's doors. And I told them I would clean up their entire yard from all these fallen trees and blown leaves and, and mud and everything, and, make it all look pretty again. And the first person I asked said they would, okay, do it. So as I'm just about done and getting really excited about the $5 I was about to earn, a police car pulled up behind me and told me to assume the position. When I began to protest, he told me that I was trespassing and I was soliciting, and there were signs that said no trespassing, no soliciting. And when I turned to look at the woman who had called the police, the same woman who had told me that she would give me that work, the same woman whose yard I had just made immaculate, I wanted to hate her. I did. I wanted to be so angry. She represented to me everything that had repressed me in my life, but I didn't. God spoke to me and I spoke to her and I said, thank you. And the policeman said, hey, you smart, you know what? And he grabbed my head to push me into the car. I said, hold on. I said, ma'am, I want to thank you. And he said, why are you thanking her? I said, because ma'am, all I wanted was to get out of the rain tonight. And I thought if I cleaned 5 or 6 people's places, I would earn enough to stay at the local motel. And if I earned 7 people's places, I might even get a bite to eat. But tonight, I'm going to sleep on a cot and I'm going to get a couple of meals thanks to the officer here, And by the time this storm has passed, I'm going to get out of jail just in time. So thank you, because I couldn't have got all that with the $5 you were going to pay me.
Oh, wow.
And that decision to be grateful, that decision to lean into love instead of anger changed my life. It really did.
Wow. Where did that come from and how old were you?
16 and a half.
Wow. 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 Because most kids at 16 don't seem to realize the importance of gratitude and shifting that perspective and not feeling the victim in a situation like that. How did you, I guess, rise above at that young age?
Well, I knew that they were going to take me down to the juvenile hall, so it isn't jail, right?
Uh-huh.
So it couldn't be that bad.
Yeah.
And I knew that they'd look for my parents and they'd realize I was an emancipated youth. And so I didn't have to have parents because the court told me I was better off alone. And so, it was okay. It was okay. So what I realized, though, was that poor woman was looking at me the way that my grandmother might, some animal with dirt under his nails and smelly clothes and straggly hair and, desperation in his eyes. And I must have been quite the scary sight to her.
Wow. Wow. You haven't seen her since, have you?
I may have, but I wouldn't recognize her, and she might not recognize me because, I turned myself around pretty quick.
Yeah. So I know that life usually.
So how did I get started in this?
Yeah. How did that transition and how did you get this going?
So there's another tragedy. So the beautiful thing is my auntie and my uncle heard that I was living in the streets and they sent for me. And I went to live with them in Northern California, a little town called Oroville. And, you know, having 2 to 4 people in one bedroom growing up is cool, but it's not always comfortable, you know, and trying to feed a family of 4 with a chicken and a cup of rice is nice, but not always fulfilling, you know, and filling. So, you know, we had 2 parents, 4 kids, and usually a relative or 2 hanging around, and our food didn't go a long way. And the reason that I didn't get much is because I was the youngest, and they just assumed being the youngest, I didn't need as much as everyone else. So I grew up pretty hungry. So all of a sudden I had my own room, I had my own car, I had food all day, every day, in cupboards, in the freezer, in the refrigerator, you know, microwaves, fancy microwaves to cook it all in, and money in my pocket to drive through McDonald's or Burger King or anything I wanted anytime I wanted, because that's the way they lived, the way my aunt and uncle lived, was convenient food, lots of it, everywhere. Microwaves and what they called TV dinners. So, well, 6 months after moving into this paradise, my auntie's dead from multiple sclerosis. And the doctors told my uncle that the food she ate made it almost impossible for her body to fight that disease. All of these artificial colors, hydrogenated oils, microwaved food, irradiated food, you know, red dye number this and blue dye number that and yellow dye whatever, you know, everything. The preservatives in the salami, the nitrates in the hot dogs, all of it killed her. And so here I am, after not seeing a very pretty side of life and then seeing a really beautiful, loving family life. It got ripped from me, torn from me, and I was not happy. Yeah. I was, again, very, very angry. And just like that woman who, you know, called the cops on me, I felt like I had been cheated again. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like somebody just had it out for me. Yeah. But then I realized once again that I had seen love, had seen what it looked like. And because of that, that was the gift. And I needed to make sure that no one else's Aunt Judy died that way. So now I actually had an enemy to be angry at. I had, you know what I mean, an adversary to declare war on. And that was the food that killed my aunt. Yeah. And so at a very young age, I made a decision. I could either continue down a road that I was going that was pretty ugly, that was filled with gang activity and drugs and stupid childish behavior, angry, rebellious childhood behavior. And I decided I needed to channel all that energy into something better for myself, for the planet, you know, and so I began to seek out knowledge. I began to seek out, you know, shaman. I began to seek out the wise ones and to ask them, beg them to just share with me how it is that they were learning to help people not die. Because all I knew is that if my auntie could die at 30 something, you know what I mean, then no one's safe.
Yeah. Yeah, and our food industry has really shifted over the last 3 or 4 decades to where you can't trust a whole lot of what's on the market, and even then, a lot of the newer, small, healthy companies get bought up, right? And so I'm curious how you started this company and how you've avoided that getting snatched up or shut down or being taken over by one of the big conglomerates.
Willing to lose a lot of money, you know. Could you hear me?
Yeah.
Thumbs up if you can. Okay. So, you know, I've lost almost $1.5 million in the last 3 years doing clinical trials that I couldn't afford, switching to a non-plastic biodegradable packaging, investing in the future so that I didn't have to destroy the future for our children. And when the investors look at me, they're not going to invest in me. I don't give a damn about profits. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I only care about quality. I only care about children. I only care about the things that matter. And yeah, I might have lost $1.5 million in the last 3 years, but one good year might make up for that, you know. But I couldn't forgive myself if I had a good year and that just meant putting another 200,000 pounds of plastic in the earth. We're going to save over 100,000 pounds of plastic being put in the earth this year because people buy Purium instead of other brands. That's real.
Wow. Not to
We're
mention
the
supporting,
only brand that has a solution to glyphosate, and that's real.
yeah. So I was going to say is not to mention not supporting the farmers that use glyphosate. Sourcing,
There you go. Vote with your dollars.
yes, yes. So I'm impressed with your what do you call it? Your steadfastness with the high quality ingredients, with the high quality uh, how you stand behind the company and the products. Like you said, it's not about the money. You remind me of my son. You're not an Aries, are you?
No, I'm a Pisces, but more importantly, I'm a water tiger. Now, if you know anything about the Chinese calendar, there are of course multiple signs, but there's also like earth, air, water, wood, and those have connotations as well. And so the tiger, and this is not arrogant, believe me, is if you ask any Chinese, if they ask what they would want to be, they would want to be a tiger, not a dragon, a tiger, right? And the reason why is because the tigers are just different. They're unique. But they're also known as being the most powerful, and I'm not sure that I'm always comfortable with power so much. And so when I read about the water tiger, and I learned that the water tiger is the most compassionate, it is the sign that mixes power and compassion, and that's very unique. And so I'm very proud to be a water tiger, very proud to mix power and compassion. And I feel confident that that's a good thing.
Very good thing. Yeah, I'd say. Yes, I wish our powerful politicians could exercise some compassion and actually be considerate of others, especially when they're in charge of us. I'd love to see more of that. I've appreciated
A lot
Mary.
of dragons.
Yeah, yeah, where they don't seem to consider how they affect others, at least some of them.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you any other compelling questions that might help our audience, feel enlightened as to why you invited me here?
Yeah. So I find that I'm really excited and interested when I find new health products that go above and beyond what's typical, what you find on the store shelves. Because what I've learned more and more is what's on the store shelves is the more mainstream stuff. It's not the best top of the line stuff usually. And so there are some products that have gotten in there, but it seems like a lot of them get taken over. And so when I came across Biome Medic and then saw the rest of the line of Purium of your company, the product line, I've just been really impressed and really would love to share that with my audience and with anyone that's interested in anything healthy, because what I feel, and maybe you could even talk a little about this, is how health plays a role in the rest of our lives. If we don't have health, what does wealth even matter, right?
Or freedom.
Yeah.
Like, let's say that you have freedom to travel, but you can't travel without your oxygen machine, or you can't walk upstairs. What if you have, the freedom to vote, but you can't get to the ballot box? What if you have all these freedoms, but the one freedom you value more than anything, freedom from disease, has been denied from you. And what if, in fact, you are taking multiple medications and subsidizing, huge pharmaceutical companies whose best interest is in keeping you alive, but sick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They need you to be alive, but still sick. Otherwise, they can't sell you any drugs.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is we want to use the same thing that you would otherwise take, the foods that you would otherwise eat that nourish you, and help that to, create a wellness that is like a insurance. So I say that when self-care replaces healthcare as our priority, when we stop worrying about whether we can afford $860 a month average family and out-of-pocket expenses in healthcare, yet people balk at spending $100 for a power shake, when it might prevent them from spending that $880 and taking medications and not feeling well. And that's what I don't understand. So let's examine this. If you're willing to go to college and spend 4 years of your life, maybe 7, maybe 8, if you're willing to spend 5 or 10 or maybe $50,000 a year for the privilege of attending that college and incur student debt with a high interest rate for the next 30 years of your life, if you're willing to do all of that, but you're not willing to invest a few $100s a month in your personal thriving, in your personal absolute, wellness as a human being, then your priorities are really messed up to me.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to spend $10 a day on Starbucks and $200 a month on cable, but you're not willing to spend a few dollars, $60 a month to keep the gut of your family healthy, then your priorities are really effed up to me.
Yeah.
Okay? So don't even start to tell me that people can't afford to take care of themselves. They absolutely can.
Yeah. And
they're not willing to because they don't realize how important it is.
Yeah. And that leads me to the next thing is that this business you've created, Purium, has a support structure in place that makes it even easier for people to afford those foods. Can you talk a little about that? What Purium offers?
Yeah, well, we do. In fact, yeah, so it starts with, if you are willing to give us a shot, your first order is going to have $50 taken off. So we're going to give you a gift card. If you want to try Biome Medic, spend $75. We take $50 off. So it's only going to cost you $25. And, and so you're not making a big investment if you want to give us a shot, right? The next thing is, if you want to dip your toe in the water a little deeper and invest in what we call a lifestyle transformation, an ultimate lifestyle transformation for a reason, then that's going to cost you about $320, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is going to be 30 days, and it's going to be half of your food budget. So since most people are spending about $20 a day on food, they're not going to spend a dime more than they were. The quality of their food's going to go way up, and their belt's going to go in a little bit. They're going to be a lot healthier. So that's the second step, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you feel good and people are telling you you look good, and you're saying, well, I really want to get more of this stuff, and although paying $300, like $5 a day, so what's that, like, yeah, about $150. So paying $150 to have some really awesome, nutrition products, that isn't so much. I now realize that's worth it, but I'd rather get it for free. So if you recommend it to 2 or 3 friends now, and you're just a consumer, if you're just buying our products, and you give us the names of 3 of your friends who want to do what you did, we're going to give you your product for free. But better than that, we have something called an affiliate program. Now, you know that affiliate marketing is all the rage now. But here's the thing. You look up the best paying affiliate marketing, they're paying between 5 and 15%, and we pay 20 to 25%. And all affiliate marketing means is you recommend your favorite restaurant to your friend, you know, and when they eat there, the restaurant owner is going to give you part of their bill. When they pay their bill, the restaurant's going to give you a cut. You know, it's a little bit like the drug dealer back in the neighborhood, you know, just a little more on the up and up. So the bottom line is the restaurant never gave you a cut. No matter how many people you recommended go and eat there, right? That restaurant ever understand, okay, your meal's for free tonight? No.
Mhm.
Did you ever say, I'm going to pay you a check at the end of the month for all the people you recommended? No. So who was more honest, the drug dealer or the restaurant owner? I'm just saying. So what we're doing now is we're taking entrepreneurial spirit and we're giving it the right reason, okay? We found the best restaurant. We're going to make people healthy, and we're not going to reward some store owner who doesn't even know about the product, some warehouse that ships it to the store owner who doesn't know anything about the product, some distributor who makes 10 to 15% for going in and putting it on the shelf. That's a lot of wasted money. Why wouldn't I give the person who buys it 25% off? Why wouldn't I give the person who recommended it to them 20% of that? That's where my 45% goes, not to the store owner. And that makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. Especially,
Does it make sense to you?
totally. It makes so much more sense to me than paying all
So
the.
if you agree to be, if you agree to be part of my company, I want to explain the magic, and this is truly magic.
Yeah.
You will not succeed unless you help somebody get healthier. Okay, you're not going to earn a dime unless you help other people get healthier. Now, here's the great part. Not only could you help other people get healthier, you can help other people literally transform their lives. So you're going to help people get healthier, you're going to help people's lives improve, and you're going to get rewarded financially for that. And if you don't help other people get healthier, if you don't get healthier yourself, if you don't help other people's lives improve, you're not going to make any money. Now, that may sound hard, but here's the thing. We have made a lot of millionaires. I have made a lot of people $1 million or more helping me promote Purium because it's a lot easier than you might think.
Yeah.
Imagine you have unlimited $50 gift cards. You could give them to anybody you care about and say, take $50 off when you go to my website, get anything you want. You're asking why I feel so good, why I look so good, why I'm so energetic. This is the reason why. Let me give you $50 off. So it's a lot easier than you think. And then when those people have an amazing experience with the products, and they will, they're going to say, could I hand out some of those $50 gift cards for you? Or could I do it for myself? It's that simple. It really is. It's the new economy. And I want to share one last thing with you.
Great.
Don't you wish that you worked from home? Don't you wish you couldn't be laid off? Don't you wish you made your own hours? Don't you wish you chose who you worked with? Don't you wish you felt good about the money you made? Because when you make money, it makes other people well. And don't you love knowing that you could take any day off, any hour off that you want, and no one could challenge you about that? And if you take a month off, that's okay because your check will still come in. I don't encourage it, but you can do that because this is your business. It's residual income. It's the new green economy. You don't drive in a car. You don't sit in an air-conditioned office. You don't waste all of that energy. We are the greenest, truly forward-thinking company that you could ever hope to join. And I don't mean that from an egotistical way. We designed it that way. We said, what do we want to become? Okay, we want to become green. So we did everything we could to become green. We want to be healthy. We did everything we could to become healthy. We want to be honest. We did everything we could to become honest. And so now we're just looking for people who honor those three things. And if you honor those things, then we want you to come and join us, because we have a lot of lives to save, a lot of lives to change, and it could start with you.
Yeah, I love how you've created the affiliate networking opportunity so that people can carry on your vision of changing and transforming people's lives. That's so powerful and so much better than the old school model of we're the company and we're the only ones allowed to make money on this. Right? That you're sharing the wealth with the network of people in the business. So I love that you're being the leader in that. And so,
and we hear about things like income inequality. We hear about things of the disproportionate distribution of wealth. We hear about things like the glass ceiling. We hear about things like a new green economy, but we don't know how they apply in our life. So let me explain what that means to Purium. Our opportunity is available to anyone, even if you haven't graduated from college, even if you are not always welcome, in today's society because of your race, your religion, because of your gender, because of your age, because of your economic background. We are so blind to all of that. This opportunity is the American way. It is for everybody, okay? And we have people, moms, who are living literally in their cars with their children on food stamps, and now are making over $30,000 per month, okay? I have my friend Roxanne, who's 27 years old, has already earned over $750,000. She's 27 years old. She started with Purium when she was 22, and she's earned way more than most people twice her age during that same time. Yeah. And so this is a colorblind opportunity. I don't mean that in a racial way. I mean that in a just literally, we are a big, massive opportunity for anyone who cares to work hard. And that's the promise of America. That's the promise of entrepreneurism. That's the promise of free enterprise. And we are tapping into it, not in a way that is, greedy or selfish, in a way that says you can only succeed if the world gets better. Now, we eliminated 30,000 pounds of plastic last year. We'll eliminate over 100,000 pounds this year. That's the way that this green economy works. You only succeed by making the world and its people better.
Yes. Yes. And I love that you've put that innovation into the business as well as the products. All the products I've seen, including the Juice Bar of the Future, we can talk in another interview about that, but I just wanted to cover that you've got amazing innovation in that. And is there anything you'd like to say around how you put those together, how you discover, how you pioneer those products?
Absolutely. So when I studied, Chinese herbology with a master, and I asked her, I said, Marley, what about Ayurveda? And she said, oh, no, that's so undisciplined, And when I studied with Ann Wigmore, the mother of living food diet, and I asked her, what do you think about Chinese medicine? She said, oh, no, they steep all those herbs. They're dead, And when I asked, the person who I studied Swiss herbology, what did they think about the herbs from Africa? They said, no, we have everything we need right here in the Swiss Alps. And when I asked the Ashanikas who take herbs from the Amazon, what do you think about Chinese medicine? They said, why? We have twice as many herbs growing here in our rainforest as they do in China. And each time I spoke to the Jamu in Indonesia, or the medicine man from Africa, or and 12 ancient cultures, and I asked each of them what they thought about the other that I had studied. And they each said it was unnecessary. They had everything they needed because they were disciplined that way. They knew what they knew. But the thing is, I'm undisciplined. Okay, I didn't need to honor their discipline. I did not come from their culture. So I was able to garner the very best, the gems from each of those, and learn how they might work with the very best in the gems from each of the others. And one obscure herb from Ayurvedic medicine might complement a Chinese herb in a way that no one ever imagined. And so I endeavored, as Bruce Lee studied Muay Thai and Savate and Karate and Jiu-Jitsu and so many other, Savate and Capoeira, and I could go on and on. He also studied 12 ancient arts of self-defense, but he formed them into a single discipline of his own. Yeah. And he was criticized by many of the masters for not holding the discipline of the art that they had chose to teach him. You see? Yeah. So I'm not Bruce Lee. I'm a humble servant. But I learned from Bruce Lee, and I learned from Ann Wigmore and Bernard Jensen and Hannah Kroger and Paul Bragg. And I learned from the Ashaninka, and I learned from the Ayurveda, the Vedics, and I learned, from the Chinese, and I learned from the Jamu, and I learned from the shaman of North America, and I learned from the Swiss herbalist. They all have so much to teach me, and I have so much to learn.
Yeah. Wow. And share. Thank you for sharing all of it. for going on your...
Well, the sharing is in the... Yeah, so I did Health Talk Radio in New York City, 50,000 watt station. All I did was flip on the dial and say, ask me questions. This is your show. And I wrote down every question I ever got. Hours and hours and hours, day after day, week after week, year after year. And I decided and endeavored to create a product line that would answer each of those questions in the form of supporting the human body. And that's why I came up with the 50 or 60 products that I now make available to you.
Wow. Amazing. I'm super thankful and appreciative of those products, of all the lessons you've learned in your life to get to this point where you've been able to share that wisdom through your business, through some of the videos you do. I guess before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to share for the listeners that might consider building a business with Purium, with products around the law of attraction and manifesting, and how this could provide something in that?
Yeah, well, there's certain human needs that are really important, and one of them is to be part of a community. To really feel that you're part of a community of people who get you, and Purium is that type of community. So, I don't mean that you don't have a family now, you don't have friends now, but when you're part of a community that are like-minded individuals with really open hearts, it feels good. And we're ready. We're waiting for more people to join this community, and it's really full of love. So people need community, and we're that. People also need to know that they're important. They need to know that they matter, that they're here for a reason. And when you're part of Purium and you're endeavoring to help improve other human beings' lives, not through interfering or being a Badinsky, but just by example, and by loving and sharing, then you're important. You're not only part of a community, but you're also important to that community because of the way you're showing up for them, supporting them. And then finally, we all need financial, income, unless we're, had a rich uncle, So I think that the fact that this is an income opportunity with extraordinary potential, and let me tell you what I mean by that. The average millennial makes around $29,000, and the average woman head of household makes about 35. The average man head of household makes about 39, and the average household itself makes right around 46. Okay, it's 56 in some regions. The bottom line is that when you are making CEO wages, it's about 110. When you're in the top 5% of earners, it's about 220. And when you're in the top 2%, you're making about $300,000 a year. Okay. Top 2% in the world. Well, we have a lot of people in that top 2% in my little company that I'm paying them. We have even more in that top 5%, a whole bunch of people in that top 5%. And almost all of our successful people are exceeding the average household income from just their income. Okay. Our lowest rank pays about the average that a millennial makes, you know? And so, and here's the thing. I pay myself right in the middle of that range, and I own the company.
Wow.
About half the people in this company make more than me, and I own the company.
Wow.
So much for the old pyramid scheme, right?
So I used to work for, it was a part of IBM, but it used to be a bank. And there was something I noticed.
It was a moving company, right?
No, it was part of a bank, or it used to be a bank. It was part of IBM. Anyway, so one of the things that I noticed in that company, I missed the joke, but one of the things I noticed is that
IBM stands for IBM stands for I've been moved.
oh, okay.
Because they moved their employees around so no one formed close personal relationships, so they felt that made them unproductive. So they constantly moved their employees to keep them fresh. And so if you worked for IBM, you knew that you were going to be moved after 3 years. So that's what IBM, I've been moved. So when you said you worked for a subsidiary, my joke was it was a moving company. But okay, let's get back to the serious business.
Well, what I was going to say is that I noticed because of, I guess I better be careful not to say too much, but there was a particular email that went out that I was like, what is this? This just felt like it was reprimanding everybody in the company when I think it was geared toward a particular group in the company. But when I saw that email coming from the president of the company, that I realized shit rolls downhill. It starts at the top and it rolls downhill. And so what you see from the employees or the affiliates at the lower levels says a lot about who's at the top and how they're leading and directing the company. And I've noticed from you, Dave, that you're very heart-centered. And I've noticed that your community is very heart-centered. The people that are in it are just amazing. And I love the community. I love the people. And I don't know if I could think of a better compliment to give you than from expressing what I've noticed within the community. I think that that's just amazing to see. An amazing.
Yeah, we are. And we are all so different, you know, like in our daily lives. We've got mechanics, we've got sound healers, we've got truck drivers, you know what I mean? We've got yoga teachers, we've got Republicans, independents, Democrats, we've got rich, young, old. We are the most amazing melting pot, you know? And that's why I always try so hard not to put anything political or anything controversial if I could avoid it, if I could bite my tongue, because I just don't want to offend even one of these amazing people who have given me the privilege of supplying their food. You know what I mean? And so I try so hard to stay apolitical. It's hard for me because I'm at my heart, I am a progressive liberal on the social side, and I am a staunch conservative on the economic side. And so I don't belong anywhere. They just throw me out with the trash every time, you know, because I believe to drive a powerful economic engine is so that you can take care of your people. You know what I mean? And you have to have both.
Yeah, yeah. Just like we need to be grounded in the earth and the spiritual. We need to bring those together. And I think that's why we're here, is to bridge those worlds together in this time. And I love that you've powerfully done that from your growing up and bringing the financial side into the purpose and your your vision of bringing healthy stuff to the world. So anyway, anything else you'd like to say?
Absolutely. Well, hey, I've got my next appointment.
All right.
I got my next appointment lining up, and I do apologize, but I want to tell you before I go what a privilege it's been to be part of this community. I'm really excited about your summit. Congratulations on putting it together. I know that each of your speakers are amazing in their own right. So thank you for inviting me to be part of that group. And you have a blessed day and a blessed life, my friends. Stay safe.
Thanks so much. Namaste. Thanks so much.
Namaste.